And, oh, let me hit that. Hey everybody, welcome to the High TV. We're here live and I think we're all up and running live, but I did an intro now so you didn't have to see me moving links around from YouTube to Google. And today we got another guest in. We have Amar from Trace Ammo along with Chris from Riflecraft and myself. So hey everybody, we are up and running and we're just gonna jump right into it because why not? Like I said, I made that intro and I did a whole bunch of other little things to try to streamline this for the first 2 minutes, because for those first 2 minutes normally everybody is like watching us move links around. But hey Amar, welcome to the Hide. Chris, everybody give me a hi.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for having us, Frank.
Hello,
Cool.
hello, 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 hello,
Hello.
hello.
You're not echoing. No, you're good.
Yeah.
At least you sound good.
No. The last
But
few
yeah.
times I've had an echo, Amar, so everybody says, Chris is echoing.
Did you
So I changed my name.
Okay.
Yeah. Echo Way. That sounds really good. Echo Way. That's like that's a canyon. You got to go down Echo Way. You go around the corner and there's a canyon and you go hello, 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 and then you get an echo and then you leave Echo Way and then you go home. So that's what
It
Echo.
would be
Echo.
it'd be better if there was like buried treasure, right?
Well, and you know what? It's. I just saw a thing. Buried treasure's good, but like, did you see? Because we're a gun channel, really quick. Did you see like a guy walked into a judge's office, like back south somewhere, like a month ago? This guy walks into a judge's office and shoots him, and he had something to do with the dude's daughter. Well, come to find out, this judge was running like a sex ring out of like his court. And so the daughter got wrapped up in this sex for favor ring. I'm like, why can't we just make sex favors common? Imagine, like Chris, you go to King Super, it's right near your house, and you have
And I just
$150.
have sex to pay for my groceries.
Yes, exactly. You tell the girl you pick the right lane. You go like, I want lane 6. I like her. Then you go, hey, my bill's $150. You go to the suite. You give her $150 worth of satisfaction, and then you take your groceries and go home, and you just trade it out. She has a fun day
That
at work.
assumes well, yeah, but that assumes first of all that I'm worth $120, and second that's what they want, and I guess that's why they would have a job there. But I'm gonna think that
Well, that's part of
feminists would
the,
have a problem with this, but I guess that
yeah.
doesn't matter on a podcast. But yeah, I think that would be okay with me. I mean, considering that financially I have more of that than
Right.
grocery
Time more
money.
than money, right? So spend your time because
You hear that,
money.
people?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not advertising, but
Amar, what do you
I
think?
could use
Would you
groceries.
trade out? Would you trade Chris ammo for sexual favors? That's the question.
Absolutely
Andrew
not.
would.
No,
Andrew would.
I love you, Chris, but
you don't have a.
HK
we
guy
gotta
would.
draw. We gotta draw the
Yes,
line somewhere.
HK guy, he already did and
right.
gave us all those secrets, but now he won't admit that they're real secrets. So,
But you don't
what
have
good is
like
that?
a family member that needs to be married off or anything, or a family member that's kind of lonely right now that Chris can trade for ammo.
Uh, Nah, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
We're
Well,
gonna
I
make it
tried.
on Fox News or something.
Yeah, no. So
Well, I
anyway,
appreciate it. I appreciate
uh,
it.
we wanted to, because we were out at the range the last couple days, and yesterday brought his 308 out, and he starts shooting his 308, and he's using Amar's ammo, and he's been using Amar's ammo, and I'm gonna let Chris tell his stories in a second. And he's like, "Oh my god, oh my god, did you just see what I did? Oh my god!" And I'm like, "No, I'm over here," and he's like, "This is the most amazing thing." And then looking at the numbers, no one touches Amar's numbers. No one. So, Chris, go ahead and explain the hookup that, like, where this came into play, like the ammo.
Like Amar from the start.
Yes, go from the beginning, day one. Like, you're gonna shoot
Yeah.
big
Well,
ammo.
Amar's parents really liked him, or really liked each other,
Each other. Yeah,
and
yeah.
and
Oh, we're back on
and
sexual favors. No, no, no.
yeah,
Come
and his
leapfrog
dad
to.
worked at a grocery store. Um, I was introduced to Amar through a guy named Jeff, and I was told about this guy who's a good shooter who shoots 308s at PRS matches, and everybody who does well in that group shoots his ammo, and he's trying to make a, a factory ammo boutique kind of for competitors way of purchasing training as well as competition ammo. So at the time, and you could correct me what's changed for Trace ammo, but at the time they were getting training ammo and they were getting competition ammo because for a lot of people the time to load doesn't justify the the cost in the reverse. Like people are willing to pay to have good ammo made rather than buy factory ammo, but it wasn't quite justifiable for them to give up hours of their life because in their life there are other things that they do other than load. And for people like Andrew, he doesn't understand that life isn't loading, but a lot of people are willing to pay that premium. And me being curious and testing everything, um, I thought, shoot, let me try some. So I reached out to Amar, and since then we've had a lot of kind of false starts a little bit. But ignoring all of those things, I got some 308 and I got some six dasher. And I shot the dasher. I think I got training ammo and it had an SD of six for 10 shots or 12 shots or something. And Amar said, wait a minute, not everybody gets an SD of six. I advertise single digits. That's it. And I laughed like, oh my God, like, okay, I won't advertise that you're gonna get an SD of six, but it is okay for me to say that if you get it, you'll have a single digit SD, which is pretty cool because when I hand load, it's kind of like rolling a Dungeons and Dragon die that goes up to 20. Whoa, what's that?
I
Did
think
you
it's
hear that?
Amar. Yeah, I think
Could
it's
you
that
guys
Amar.
hear that?
Yeah, yeah, we could.
Yeah.
It's
That's no
the
biggie.
it's the it's the train. Like literally,
Oh,
if that thing derails, and I go flying out that way, don't be surprised because it's like 10 feet behind that black wall.
That's funny.
yeah. So anyway, I'm good at making short stories really long, but um, I shot and tested the Dasher. Normally I compete with 6BR or BRA. Well, but I hadn't competed in that style of shooting for 6 years. But I thought, shoot, I'll test it. And so I got a barrel and I tested it, and it maintained no matter how many shots I shot, SD that was single digits. Um, and the group, which I've never hand loaded Dasher, and I've never shot any Dasher other than a Mars, but I could put 20 holes or 20 shots in a ragged looking hole, and so it made zeroing pretty easy because you didn't have to guess like where the center of a group was. Um, It was where the hole is. And then after that, if I needed to zero it, I just take one shot because the rest of them are going to go where that one went. So that was good. And then the 308, and when I got the rifle that I shot yesterday, um, I had it kind of ready to go last year, but I wasn't going to compete till this year. So it was a brand new barrel, and I shot some rounds through it, and I was like, wow, this is shooting really well. And then I forgot about it. Yesterday, I put a riser on the rifle and brought it out to zero it. And that was essentially where the video came from, is right now getting ready for next season, which seems a little premature, but I'm famous for last minute. Like, oh, there's competition tomorrow? Cool. And and running out like I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm just going to take this stuff and see what happens. Uh, whether or not I have a zero. And I thought if I'm going to actually be competitive next year in the disciplines that I plan on competing, which is every division in PRS and every division in NRL Hunter, plus some other ones, I have to have dedicated rifles. So I'm setting them up right now just to make sure they're zeroed. I know ammo I'm going to shoot in, and then because sometimes in this industry, what you think might take 2 weeks takes 4 months, 5 months. Well, I have a few months to try to get stuff that I don't have. So I shot, it was bore sighted. I shot, and then I shot, and I realized that it was like the dasher going in the same hole. And sometimes on our zero board, if we don't prep it right, you could shoot and be like, God, I don't see where it's going. Because you see a hole, but you're like, man, I took 3 shots, but I don't know where they're going. And with the 308, I wasn't expecting not to see anything. I thought, what? This is really weird. I was like, Frank, I walked out. I was like, that was amazing. I didn't chronograph it. I did a whole video on zeroing it. And then Frank's lot was different than the lot I had. And then we had a bag of another lot. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to shoot 3 groups and see if the zero is different because it's good to know all that regardless of numbers. So I thought, shot 3 rounds of each and they had the same zero. And then I went back and shot 2 more rounds in each and they went where the other ones went. And then we did gravity ballistics and the drop wasn't as much as I was thinking. So I was guessing, like, wow, well, a 168 isn't a bullet that I've shot a lot of, but my drop was it was pretty close to like a heavier 140 out of a 6.5 Creedmoor. And it was pretty windy, but I wasn't holding a tremendous amount of wind. And you were shooting the 100 grainers, and my wind was more than yours, but not as much. But still, we had no numbers. I wrote down the gravity ballistics on a black card, and we have that in the video. Uh, and then at the end of the day, I thought, you know what I'm going to do now, since we have paper groups, we have gravity ballistics, I'm ready to do kind of a test run, but I've got to come out, 3 or 4 separate days to make sure the zero stays consistent day to day. And it keeps shooting like this day to day to have trust. So I slapped on the Garmin and we had 9 rounds. I had 9 rounds left, 3 of each. So I just put them in and chronographed shooting at 600. And they all hit the exact same spot to the point where, when you shoot a painted plate at 600 yards, you see a black smudge appear. And sometimes, you see the smudge growing, and the smudge didn't grow. It was just that black dot, and it stayed that black dot, and the plate was moving, and stuff was coming. I mean, it was literally going boom, 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 boom. And so I took those 9 shots, and I looked at the chronograph, and you could see me on the video kind of squint, and I paused for a sec, and I was like counting, like I must not have counted right, like, and I was like, it's 3 different lots. And the extreme spread was 7.
Amar, what are you doing over
So
there?
Just
yeah,
listen.
so um, yeah, it's like if we took those skills, like we could Breaking Bad so much, right?
Yeah.
It's perfect. So yeah, I
His powder's blue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
right.
I went today and I checked my zero, and it was what it was. But me trusting my system is separate from me trusting my ammo. But to have ammo that's operating consistently now, to trust it, what I have to do is see those very subtle temperature velocity differences from days that are variable temperature, and today was like yesterday. So I didn't even chronograph it. But what I'd like to do is get 70, 80, 90, 100, 60, 50, 40, and see just, what is the average for a certain number of shots and how much does it actually change? Because on the internet, people are going to lose their shit. My powder's temperature stable. And my powder doesn't, my velocities don't change. And it's like every experience that I have shooting different places tells me that the velocity is different when the temperature is different. I'm not saying it's 100 feet per second more, but when we're measuring tenths, there are temperature ranges where you can see a change in a tenth at the maximum competitive ranges, not up close, right? And
Right.
up close, you could change 100 feet per second and you won't see anything, which is why sometimes I'll say before a second time of flight, who cares? But I still want to see that because I don't want to have information that's incorrect. Because then if I see something wrong and I try to back calculate what happened, and oh, it turns out my other data is not right, it's hard to figure out what the cause is. So, yeah, I don't care a ton about velocity, but I'd like to know what it is at a temperature. So, these velocities were very consistent, and it's smoking fast for this 168 weight.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a long barrel, so it's not my numbers won't necessarily be the numbers that you guys have because I have a 28-inch barrel on my 308. So I got extra 2 inches or 4 inches if you have a 24 inch. And so I have more barrel length, and sometimes with more barrel length, you'll see an increase of velocity. Not always, but in my case, I would guess that explains some of the velocity that I have, but it shoots lights out.
Yeah. So now we need to hear Amar's story. Why did you do this, Amar?
Why did I
This guy,
do this? I don't know
this guy called
because
me
I
up and
had.
offered me sex.
Oh, why did I connect with Chris Way, or why did I start an
No, no,
ammo
no.
company?
No, why did you
Yeah,
start making
ignore
ammo?
me.
That's really good. Yeah, yeah. Ignore Chris. We don't care about that part.
We're
No, the ammo. Why? Like, I don't want to know
we're
how
gonna.
you get your ammo so good. That's yours. That's what. But like, why did you decide to take this leap into this? Especially when you did. Nobody's on your side at that point, as far as like the world is concerned. Nobody wants you to make an ammo company. So
Yeah.
when you did it, you kind of picked the worst time possible, but you're doing the best with that now. And so explain or tell us your story.
I would say the first, semi-jokingly, is an entrepreneurial seizure. I don't know if any of you guys have read that book, The E-Myth, but anyways, they talk about that, and there's other business guys who talk about this stuff. Alex Hermosi is a guy I like. Anyways, it's this uninformed optimism, right?
Nice.
Like, oh, this is amazing. Like this should be so easy. So honestly, that's kind of where it started, fueled by an introduction to guns by my cousin in Texas. I went to visit him. We went, I wasn't really that into guns, but he took me to the range. We started shooting guns, and I came back to San Diego, and I mean, just down the rabbit hole I went. And eventually that led me out to our local long range, Pala, at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I started meeting people there. Anyway, so it started as a hobby. And then it was at the beginning of COVID, or like right in the middle of COVID. Everything was dried up. You couldn't get ammo, and I don't know. I just sort of had this entrepreneurial seizure. Was like, oh, this is a great idea. You know, I'm loading ammo. I might as well make it. But of course,
Right.
I, I just was ignorant to a lot of things, not about manufacturing and supply chain issues, but I just didn't understand how bad it was at that time
Right,
in
the
the
gun
loading
industry's
business.
problems. Not right, right. That they had supply problems. They had the manufacturing problems. They had the SDs are growing. Everything's getting worse, and then you couldn't get it, and they're shutting down. Powders and primers were impossible. So from there, you like I said, you jumped in at a really difficult time in terms of supply chain as well. But the need is there, right?
Yeah, and that's sort of, I was shooting as a hobby, PRS mainly, some NRL stuff, and then starting to load and understanding that if you wanted to practice with live fire, which is what I felt like I needed, but maybe in retrospect, I realized that you could get away with a lot of dry fire. But, anyways, so there was this idea of, okay, can we fill the gap between what's available from the big factories and having a person sit on their bench all day long loading thousands
Right.
of rounds of ammo, and so kind of that was the birth of Trace Ammunition. Let's make ammo that's scalable in production, that performs as close to, if not better than, hand loads. And kind of that was the premise.
Well, that part clearly from what we're seeing numbers wise, like I said, coming into like post COVID, I have not seen any ammo come through, and we shoot a variety of it that comes anywhere close to your numbers. So you've definitely
No.
hit on a process for yourself that's working in the calibers, and kind of just jump into some of the calibers you've been loading recently so guys know what you're actually out there loading.
Well, so yeah, again, this company, it's very influenced by PRS, right? That's I met a lot of my friends and who helped me out in the beginning of this out at Paula in San Diego. Jeff Schaefer, who actually introduced me to Chris. That's how I got connected uh, in one way with you guys, and then of course Serge over at
Mm-hmm.
Able Co. and doing some of the NRL matches and stuff, and our local matches. He connected me with you, Frank. I'm pretty
Right, right.
sure.
And then
Yep.
do you talk to Tim over there? Tim at Paula?
Not so much since I moved here to Florida. I moved
Right.
about a year ago to expand the company. It just in terms of regulations, it's just a lot easier to do firearms in Florida than it is in California.
For
Uh,
sure. Yeah, because Tim is my
so,
moderator on the Hide, so
oh,
he's at he does a lot of the matches and he helps out, and so Tim over there, who tall skinny Tim, he's a moderator on the Hide.
okay, yeah, for sure. I mean, I would see Tim regularly at the local matches. He was always there helping those guys run it, and I'd see him at the range. So yeah, um, gosh, I kind of forgot where we were going with this.
Just
What
where
is the?
then so the PRS shooters, and then going into the ammo they were looking for, and so you started doing like Chris at the training and the match ammo for those guys to save the time.
Well, that's exactly right. And so, this was influenced by the guys that I was shooting with at the local club, Jeff being one of them, but, my friends Justin, Jose. Anyhow, a lot of people shoot Dasher and PRS. So, at that time we had 223 and 308 and 65, and I said, okay, well, there's a million companies that are doing that stuff. Let's try and do something a little bit more novel and also kind of address a market segment of people who want, I hate to use the word gamer cartridge, but the typical, a good cartridge for PRS, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to get into the whole loading game. So, let's make Dasher and let's make GT. so that guys don't have to go 6.5 Creed or 308 or something like that. And so then I started working on developing that stuff, and then yeah, it just kind of all came together. So
Mm-hmm.
PRS wise, 6GT, which what do we got one right here? We chose the 109 long range hybrid, which I
Right.
find to be a great projectile. And again, this is like oops, which way did I go?
No, you were there. Yeah, you were good where you were.
Anyhow, and then we do the Dasher with a 105 hybrid, but that was mainly informed by what's most popular in PRS, but also they're just very consistent bullets at distance, and that's something that we try and strive for, is how do these things group at 600 yards and beyond.
Did you? What were you using initially, like rifle wise, to get to get the loads where they are? I mean, because like I said, your numbers are so good, and usually when you see that, it's somebody working with rifles as well. Because I mean, at some point, are you just kind of hitting a number on your machines, and you're not really test loading stuff as much, or are you getting loads from competitors?
No, so it's a process that I had or have a series of barrels. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say Dasher, I'll have one or two barrels, and I'll start the development process and just looking at things like for one barrel or two barrels, the velocities, any signs of pressure, just the usual
Right.
load
Right. I was gonna say,
development
so
type
you're
stuff.
loading, you're trying to test it like a competitor. You're running it as if
Cor-
you're going to compete with your own load and then taking it from there.
Correct. I mean, that was the premise
Yep.
to
Yep.
replace hand loading with automated, production ammo. And for 30, well, actually, I would argue for every caliber. I would say for our Dasher, our GT, and our 308 and 223 for gas gun. Actually, maybe even 223 for bolt gun. For for sort of a I, I don't want to put
Yeah.
numbers
Yeah.
on
You
it,
don't have to get too
but
specific, but
you'd have to be a really elite shooter, top shooter, not elite, top shooter to notice the difference.
right. Right.
In PRS, and some people might fillet me for that, but I feel like the shooter skills is often below
The
the
ammo, right?
level of
No,
the
and that
ammo,
makes sense.
but
We're not trying to
everybody's
like that, but I'm kind of wondering because, like I said, you're getting the numbers so good, and it's kind of like, okay, well, where the quality control on the back end,
Well,
you
so let
know?
me just finish that,
Yeah,
Frank. So
yeah.
I would start on a tier one of just a couple of my rifles, and then once I settled in on something that I thought looked promising, then it was like a version of crowdsourcing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I would just find anybody and their mom with all kinds of different rifles, and I'd say, look, would you just run 20, 30, 40 of these things down your barrel at 100 yards, and then also out at distance at chrono, and it was kind of a process, because again, this isn't this isn't a custom load. It's something that we wanted to try and find something that had a pretty broad envelope that would work across different chambers and freeboards
Right.
and
You were
whatever
looking to
people got
hammer
going
that
on out
right
there.
average with the right components and say this average is going to serve so many people so well versus where sort of the averages went with what would be considered a more traditional factory ammo, where you find the swings are much more wild.
Well, and then yeah, in the manufacturing process, we did our best to minimize all the things that can lead to deviations in velocity, and really that's what the difference is. Obviously, our recipe is somewhat secret sauce, but at the end of the day, we're stuffing powder into a case and putting bullets on it. So what
Right.
we try and do is
Guys,
choose.
I'm gonna tell what Amar uses. He puts Pop Rocks in them
Well, they're
and
blue.
some
We
Damn
know
it!
Diet
that.
Coke.
It's
Yeah,
blueberry
or
pop rocks.
Mentos and Diet Coke.
It's gonna say if you
So
dry Diet Coke and then you have a liquid dry Diet Coke and then dry the Mentos and crush it into a powder together, and then your primer squirts water
So
and it
everything Amar said,
activates.
I'm gonna pause and say that I agree with everything that he's saying, which of course he's saying because that was his experience. But as somebody not related, I don't get anything from Trace. So we brought him on because we were impressed with his product. Um, and that's it. And we're gonna shoot his stuff because when somebody does something that works, like it'd be crazy not to do it, right? If you're gonna do
Mm-hmm.
something and buying something that doesn't work, assuming that it's worth the cost, like he said, if it's 223 and you could go buy something that you're shooting at short range for 5 cents a round, great. But he's not doing that. He's developing precision ammo. And at
Right.
some point, there's
Um.
a cost threshold that you pass over. But the questions here were I'm going to go backwards. Uh, some people above that scrolled past mentioned other companies. I haven't shot a lot of other companies' ammo, but I did use somebody's ammo at Night Force, and it was not like this in terms of quality. Um, so the ones that I've tried have not come not it's not like, oh, they're off by a few feet per second or SDs. It was no comparison. There was
Yeah.
kind of like
Question
Hornady.
coming in, Andrew or Amar from Andrew. Do you have you run into anything seating depth wise? Or do you see somebody where they don't like this seating depth, or did you kind of hit on a length that works in most chambers and tends to run okay? Or have you run into where maybe one chamber is a little off seating depth versus another?
I think that's probably going to apply most. Where I would have the most information on that would be for our 6 millimeter cartridges for six
Mm-hmm.
Dasher and six GT. Um, and I think a lot of people know that Dasher is very forgiving. So Dasher is, well, both Dasher and GT have been, the reports have been really good, and there has not been anything specific about seating depth. Now, I will say this: Dasher free bores run all over the place. They go from 104 to I think over 160 thousands. Anyhow, our ammo will jam in a 104 free bore, so you need 120 or bigger.
Or higher.
Yeah, for our spec. But in general, it's run very well across many different rifles, and but honestly, I haven't sat and done jump tests and said multiple jumps
Right,
out
right. But I mean,
to
nobody's
because
kind of saying this didn't work for me or something was a big problem. You'd know that. I mean, we're just talking big picture, not, an inch versus half an inch.
yeah, no, the only issue is running our dasher in a 104 free bore, and then you'll jam. As
Gotcha.
long as you don't have to, as long as you don't extract and you commit to pulling the
Yeah, yeah, right.
pulling the
Pull the
trigger,
bullet.
then
Right,
you're
right.
fine.
That was the old, and that's the only reason people stopped shooting 260 and then it moved into 6.5 Creedmoor because people started loading the 260s long and then they would chamber it and then, that timer guns out and then they'd go to extract it and it would pull the bullet and dump powders. And then if you look at the 260 versus the 6.5 Creed, they shrunk the 6.5 Creed up a little bit and that's where they kind of tried to get away from that. But for a while, everybody was on a bit of a 260 kick, and they would pull the bullets all the time if you didn't fire it after you chambered it. With a lot of the chambers that were out there,
Yeah.
pull the powder. Powder be everywhere because you'd be like, boop, and then your powder's everywhere.
Uh, um,
So what's that?
Somebody asked if it's normal to expect stuff to be perfect, and I think that is normal, that everybody wants things to be perfect. But like was pointed out, and I'll say it and make people mad anyway. First, no matter what a gun shoots like, very few shooters can shoot better than any of those guns. So, so their fundamentals are off and the bullets are going to walk around. How would you ever know whether it was a good load or not? Um, and we measure that every day. So I feel
Yeah.
pretty comfortable with that. Um, if you could, shit, I would even offer like dollars that I don't have, but it would have to be a hell of a challenge.
You can
Um,
offer my dollars. Just use my
yeah.
money and just be like, Frank will pay you if you could
If you
do
come and
this.
shoot a one hole group, Frank will have sex with you.
There you go.
Um,
And it's worth
and
$150.
Yep, yep. It has to be five positions, three shots each. So
I could
15
do that.
shots, smaller than 0.15.
Whoa.
All right. So now that I've sold Frank, uh, is it perfect? Is it normal to expect perfect? Of course, like that's the goal, right?
Right.
But what, this is the cone of fire, right? So I'm not going to get into it. Yeah, you expect perfect. And everything about shooting makes it very, very hard to figure out why it's not perfect. So your guess is as good as mine. Keep the goal the goal. I
Well,
think
I
that's
even like today. So I'll give you a great example of not knowing perfect and stuff and just being so there was two targets on our range. A coyote. It's a 300-yard coyote I have at 690 yards. And right in front of it, 10 yards, there was another plate. And I'm like, we had the class and all that. And I'm like, yeah, put on 680 and shoot that plate. And everybody's hitting it like in the head. Well, today we're going and working the range and we're going and doing everything. And I said to Chris, Chris, I just figured out why I keep screwing this plate up. I said, look, apparently we broke a T-post. I didn't remember it. We changed it out and moved the plate from where the T-post was to where it is now. And it's the 20 yards in front of it. So it's 640 and not 680 now. I'm telling everybody 680, but we had moved it, but the broken T-post is still there at 680. And it was today. I said to Chris, that's why I keep screwing that target up. Because we moved it and I either wasn't there and didn't know it was moved or I forgot that I moved it. And I'm just religiously shooting a 680-yard target that's now 640 and thinking nothing of it. That's a screw up. That's a colossal screw up
yeah,
that I'm not even, you know what I mean? It's one little thing and it's like, boom. Yeah, that last 10% of performance is the most expensive.
yeah, yeah. And then I don't know what. Let's see. Andrew said that he looked something up that is
Oh, the ammo cost, how much?
three
$3
dollars a
a
shot.
round.
$3 a shot really isn't that
That's
expensive,
where it is now. That's anything.
actually. And if you figure like I just throw the brass in a bucket. In fact, I've got a lot of brass I need to mail Amar, and he's now very familiar with how good I am at doing stuff like that because my bucket keeps filling, and I
And he
haven't sent
doesn't
it
get
to him.
any of it, but
But brass is like $1 or $1.50 once fired for some of this stuff. So half of it
right.
is brass that you still have. So, um, you
Well,
know,
I was
when
gonna say
push,
I have a question and it's just before I forget is where like because Omar talked logistics and scalability. If just say 10 guys said, I want 400 rounds each of 308, what's your ability to kind of knock that out for someone? Or is it already sitting there ready and it's shipped tomorrow? Where's your scalability? Like, is too much attention a bad thing? Is it the secret you don't want to tell your friends? Where do you fall in scalability? Because that tends to be one of those things where it's like, I like this. And then if I can't get this anymore, then I'm upset I got to go to something else, and that tends to be a thing today.
Yeah, so I mean, it's. I'm going to give kind of not a lame answer, but a blanket answer. But I'll try and provide more granularity. When it comes to the 6 millimeter cartridges, Dasher and GT, let's talk about those. We use we use premium components across the board, but for those we use Alpha, and when it runs out, it runs out. It's just a lot of
Yeah.
PRS guys are shooting it. A lot of different just enthusiasts are shooting it, and it comes in cycles, right? From alpha. So it's like when
Mm-hmm.
those two calibers come in, and they're in production. Everybody in the know knows about it, and they go to grab it up. So we grab what we can in terms of materials
Mm-hmm.
and have that. Bullets are way better now, but that was always a little bit of a
Tricky.
challenge with burgers, because again, everybody wants the best. But 308 and 223 is much easier because the supply channel there is just a lot
Mm-hmm.
deeper. So what did you say? You said 10 guys at 400 rounds? I forget the
Yeah, say
number.
4,000 rounds. I can,
4,000 rounds. Yeah, that's we generally rotate through the calibers, and we rotate through them roughly every 2.5 weeks. So you might
Okay.
have to
No, that's a
wait
good
2 weeks.
schedule. That makes a lot of sense. And
Yeah,
then, like with the GT, Lapua just announced they have GT now, so Lapua is going to be doing 6 GT brass. So there'll at least be that
yeah,
option. That's a good option, not like some lame option. You're not doing Federal, you're doing Lapua. So
yeah, yeah, and we'll certainly test that out. I mean, we get great results with Alpha, and they're super easy to work with, and they're heavily involved in the PRS. So I just think it's cool. But
no, it
yeah,
makes sense. I'm
Lupu
just
is
saying that
amazing.
its options are starting to grow again with that, like people going into the GT world. I mean, I don't know if they do Dasher too. But anything, if you had a premium option, I think that would only make life easier, for you that way. Where if people didn't care if I had Alpha or Lapua, then you know, I think they
So
would.
I'm going to ask a question that he's told me before, so I know what he's going to say. But um, I you've said some things that people didn't ask anything about, which was you use specific bullets and so on and so forth, so that it works in as many people's rifles at a high level. But your background and the fact that you shoot leads you to choose specific bullets. And so maybe explain, why if somebody's like, well, I only shoot this bullet, and you're like, well, this is what we make it with, that's not because you didn't put a lot of thought into it. They're good bullets that
Yeah,
perform very well for a reason.
Yeah, so I think I understand your correct question, and I guess the things that we really look at are okay. One, is the bullet does it have a broad envelope? Will it shoot well let's just say at 100 yards in a bunch of different chambers? That's criteria one. Criteria two, does it have a good BC? I don't want to be a BC whore, but in this game, BC helps. But I think probably the most important one that we consider is how consistent is that projectile at distance, and that's sort of the way we pick these projectiles. I don't know if did that answer your question, Chris?
yeah, no, that makes sense. That you are looking at the numbers as far as the number on the side of the box of the bullet, but then you want to make sure that it's backed by positive performance, in comps and downrange. So you're looking at not just the BC number, but what's the performance like with the competitors out there. I mean, if most people are doing, the 105 you hear about, the 108, the 109, you hear about those stuff. If you decided to load a 103 that nobody liked, then, it'd be like, why is he using this 103? But nobody's doing that. The 109 is a known commodity, the 105 as well, in the hybrids with the burgers. So your burger, you're never going to go wrong picking a burger, and then two, you're in the more positive weights. I think that's kind of where kind of Chris was going. That it's a little combo of, yes, you want to see the numbers line, on paper, the BC, you don't have to whore it, but yeah, I want to see the number be there. But we're picking this because this is the proven competitors use them.
Yeah, and also,
Yeah, that. Oh,
oh,
go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Chris.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to add to the point is, I appreciate, even though, like, you know, I guess this might not be a big selling point, but over the years, I have seen variations in a bullet from lot to lot, and somebody might say, "Oh man, I got, these Norma, whatever, and they shoot great. That's awesome. I'm glad it shoots great." But the next lot might not. And the fact that you're taking a broader picture at which ones are generally and consistently the same, and you're not just walking through Cabela's like, "Oh, wow, those are cheap. Let's
Yeah,
load some of
yeah.
these."
I mean, in the
Yeah.
reality, what you're doing in a way, like when we want to check something, it's a yellow and black box. If we're doing factory ammo and we're not, it's like we're trying this or doing that. It's like, well, how does this really work? We grab a yellow and black box of burger and we're going to run that through it, and what the burger tells us will generally be where we'll go. It's like, okay, burger says this, so let's go with that. Where, we'll run three different things through it. It might be, like Chris says, we'll run a Norma and it works this one. Grab a different box of Norma. That's not working the same. And then grab the burgers and then go, oh, okay, this is what it's doing. It's not this or this, it's them. So I think burger is probably the gold standard today, and you're totally behind it, so we get that.
Right. And
Yeah,
I
and
guess my point was just that people can get his product, and likely from lot to lot, it's probably going to be the same always. So you can develop that trust where sometimes we'll get stuff and,
Yeah, it's all over.
yeah, what's wrong with this? Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the things we really try and focus on. There's some things that are out of our control. There can be lot to lot variations on projectiles, as everybody knows, but more so on powder. Um, but we really try and hold all the tolerances as tight as we can, as far as the charge weight, the seating depth, the neck tension, all of these things. And also, when you place an order, um, all the ammo that you get in that particular order will have a date code on it, and it's always same lot projectile, powder, bullets, primers. So within your lot, we don't mix. And people might not think it's a big deal, but with certain projectile manufacturers, there can be lot to lot differences, even though within a given lot they're super consistent and perform really well. Um, so what's my point? When you get your ammo, you'll know that every component in every round came from the same lot. And if for some reason we run out in the middle, I mark them separately and let the customer know.
Yeah. And then I was going to say, we got that question came up that Chris actually answered a little earlier. So Scott online is saying, if I bought a box, was curious, if I bought a box to try out and happy with the performance and came back to buy more, would there be a big difference on performance? And that's exactly what Chris is saying. Chris yesterday was shooting across three different lots and they were identical. And that's one of the things that we're noticing, and there isn't that variation with the trace ammo from lot to lot to lot, where you're getting it and it's exactly like you had it before, sir. It's almost as if there is no interruption in the lot you're using. I like I said, I would say based on me watching what Chris is doing, the numbers that go through, it's been the most consistent ammo from a variety of places than anybody out there is trace ammo. So I mean, I don't think you'll see a variation, Scott, if you tried some and then liked it to come back to grab it again. I don't think it's a, your first one's free, now you're hooked and we're going to give you some garbage cuz you won't know the difference. No, it doesn't. It's not like that.
Yeah, at least what I've
I'm
seen,
gonna,
it's consistent.
I'm, yeah,
Go
I'm gonna
ahead. Go ahead.
interject, not to take away from that because that's awesome, and that's what we strive for. But I think to just be statistically
Yeah, realistic. I know we're
whatever
being a hyper.
rigorous and
Right.
realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there can be I can't say there is, but there could be some variation lot to lot in your muzzle velocity, right?
Right.
I don't want to put an exact number on it, but I don't know. Let's call it 15 feet. Maybe worst case 20. I doubt that. But within that lot, it's going to be very consistent, and also we've chosen areas that have a lot of forgiveness. So it doesn't matter if you're shooting at 2710, 2720, or 2730. It's going to perform well in that area. And
Right.
maybe if people are going to pile on me on the internet. So,
No, and you're being
hogwash,
realistic, Lamar,
but
because what it is what we see. We're going from where, and I'll say it because I don't care if they get mad at me, but like was telling you before we went live, prior to COVID, I could have a box, and maybe it's SD on this factory ammo of 6.5 Creed I'm shooting is 12. Okay, I'll take a SD of 12. Okay, cool. I got a SD of 12. Well, now, if I get that same box of ammo today, it's 28. And that's a real number, 28. I'm not making that number up.
I
And
could
so
say that this box of burger is 80 feet per second off of what I got. Like 80 feet per second's not 15 feet. So if
right.
if if
And
if
so,
Amar's saying like, oh, the velocity might be
well, even 20.
20
Give
feet
him
per second
25. Give
different,
him 25.
this is this is 80 feet per second different than my rifle, but I usually don't go off the box, but I never looked at it, and so I was like, oh, I
Well,
wonder
but
what this
he
says. It's
means
80 feet per second different.
right, but we're talking also from lot to lot. You know what I mean? So if the number on the box is different, okay, that's cool. But if it says 2850 and I get 20, I'm getting 2750, give it 100. If everything's good and I know I'm using 2750, that's fine. But then when I buy my next case, if that case is 2825, now I'm like,
Oh,
well,
that's
wait,
a good question.
yeah,
Have
that's
This is hypothetical. This is totally hypothetical, but let's say you bought some powder, and I'm going to make up a number, so don't, this is all made up. I'm getting a dasher, and my last dasher was 2880. If you bought powder and whatever the load, like we'll call that X, and you're like, I usually load to X, do you adjust that next lot so that it achieves that velocity, or do you do your load and it is what it is? Does that make sense?
yeah,
yes, the second one, Chris. So our
Gotcha.
our loads are fixed, and there is variation lot to lot
right.
in the powder we use. So, and we've measured that, but I finally got to the point where it's just not practical
To
to
chase.
every time we get a new lot of powder to chase, and I think that's going to introduce just more confusion to the end user. So we keep the charge weight the same and let the lot of powder be the velocity, and
Right.
it's not, you're not going 50 feet, lot to lot in the powders we use.
Yeah, I've
it,
shot your 223 before, and it had a single digit SD also. So I've shot three different calibers and cartridges of yours, and they've all had single digit SDs. So, um, I don't have any experience to suggest otherwise. And to be honest, if I got it and it was, I mean, we run gravity ballistics, so the first thing we do isn't to chronograph it. So I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't know. I would say, oh, this lot happens to be this, and it is what it is. It shoots well, so I think that's more important anyway, and that kind of goes along with how we teach. Rather than having your head stuffed in a machine telling you what to hold, learn to shoot, and if it happens to be you have to hold this much at that distance, that's what you need to do, and
Yeah.
rock on
Well,
and keep
well,
shooting.
and where I don't chronograph. Like these guys all laugh at me, even everybody here, that because I barely chronograph. I don't like I want a number. I want a speed. Like I need to know how fast I'm going, just as general. Like, am I 2950 or am I 2750? That's all I really need as far as that. But where? So I was teaching, and I started when I left rifles only, and started teaching on my own. I chronographed everyone. And what it was, an hour plus putting a magneto on, running 5 rounds, taking it off, putting it on the next person, running 5 rounds, taking it off, and giving everybody a number. Then they go and they put it in their Kestrel or their software, and they have to change the number to true it. So I was like, why am I wasting my time for an hour and a half? And the only thing I've accomplished was chronographing on a number that doesn't matter for most of these guys anyway, and on a number that the computer's going to change. So I got away from chronographing and just stopped doing it on a lot of ways. Now Garmin's and lab radars made life easy. I started out going, okay, I like a lab radar, I'll do that. But then you get to the wind on my range, and as soon as you stand your lab radar up, it's knocked over. And when I broke my lab radar 3 times because the wind knocked it over from a foot and it broke, I stopped chronographing with a lab radar. Well, then Garmin comes out and they do make life easy, but really at that point it's just like, what's my number? And then, I put it there because it doesn't have a penalty and it's good on a camera,
It's
but I
good to
don't,
have factual information, but the way that you've introduced gravity ballistics,
yeah, I don't,
I'll say, like for me, it's less than a magazine. For a class, it's probably 2 magazines of ammo, and we're done with the headache. Afterwards, we get the factual stuff and can line up a computer without shooting because you we can get people to shoot
yeah,
every distance,
fast.
validate it. We know where it's going to hit, and it just makes more sense. But then, of course, we want to know numbers, but using a Garmin afterwards. But if we get fixated on a number first and forget that it shoots well, dude, I shot 9 rounds at 600 yards and it was 2 inches.
Right.
Like I talked about the standard deviation or the extreme spread of 7. It was 2 inches for 9 shots at 600 yards. I don't give a shit what the velocity
Right.
was.
Exactly.
Right? So
Yes.
it just, and it was 3 different lots combined out of those 9. And like if it shoots a good group, it's going to perform regardless of the speed to about a second time of flight, the way that it shot a group. And we just proved that with this one. And I, I'm gonna just throw in a like I'm gonna like put you on the spot and trick you, but I'm gonna tell you the data. The 100 grainers that we shoot in one of my rifles, they're 100 grain 6.5 Creedmoor, and it goes 3280. But right, so 3280 is
Right.
fast,
Fast.
right?
Screaming.
It has an extreme spread of 120. But at 900 yards, it's going so fast that the group is still exactly the same as 100 yards, like, angular wise. After that, whew, the
Yeah, it
vertical
jumps.
goes nuts. But what we're seeing with your ammo is that the group is small and the SD small. So the people that care about those things, if they're shooting farther than a second, it's going to stay that way for a long, long time. We haven't shot the 308 past 1,000, but I did take 5 shots at 1,000, and the vertical couldn't have been more than two
Yeah.
inches.
Well,
It
now that
was just
we're
kind of dancing on the line, but we had winds going from 8 to 18. So there's a little bit of horizontal deflection. I think I said it was point 0.2 wide and 0.15 tall at 1,000.
right.
And that's before we knew anything about the SD. You could see it. Like, and a 308 at 1,000 yards is past its competitive distance, probably. So go ahead, Omar. We're
Well,
just
I was
saying,
just
like, your stuff works.
thank you, and I'm glad to hear that. I guess what I'm saying is the other component there, and this comes back to the bullet choice selection, is that consistency of BC. So whether the BC's 240 or 250 or 280, the point is that bullet to bullet, we're looking for something that is a very consistent BC, so that
Yeah. Yeah.
that couples with the SD to give you that long range performance, assuming the shooter's doing everything that he or she needs to do. So,
No, for
and
sure, man.
again, I'm
Go
gonna.
ahead.
I'm not to rain on our product, but again, I think I don't technically advertise single digit SDs. I actually generally don't say that. But a lot of people do experience single digit SDs
And we're using
with
quality
our ammo.
barrels and gear too. So you know what I mean?
Yeah,
If you're
yeah, yeah.
if you grab a, something savage off the shelf at Cabela's, a Mossberg whatever, and then run this ammo through, yeah, maybe you get a 12. Where if somebody has a Bartland barrel custom made gap, they get a 4, and so there's the train.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Yeah, but I think that's an important thing to point out to people here. SD is not just the ammo, it's your chamber too.
Right, it's
And
internal as
the
well.
health of your barrel and the headspace of your bolt and your action. And so you can't just say this ammo, Frank and I could have a good SD, but okay, Frank, if we grab his ammo and both of us shoot one whole groups, will the people watching this shoot one whole groups with it if we have them take 10 shots from a couple different positions?
No.
Is it
No.
Amar's fault that they don't shoot one whole groups?
It can be if you're that
The
person.
guy who made the ammo won't shoot one whole groups.
It can
I'll
Right?
tell
be.
you that right now.
Yeah, it has
If I
nothing to
send
do
a
with his
flyer,
ammo.
if I send a flyer, I'm blaming Amar.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's not point two off the land.
Yeah, yeah, no, man. Honestly, we do it all the time, and it's like, how many times are you at a class and you have to grab somebody's gun, and you shoot somebody else's gun, and you go, look, it's you, not me, and that's the cashier at the King Super. She's like, listen, it's you, it's not me. I can't take your $150 trade, and I'm like, why? And she then so, but
I
yeah.
want that grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, never mind.
I don't know.
Okay,
Do you have any
back to
good-looking
here.
cashiers at your grocery store?
Who are you
No.
talking to?
But I guess what I'm saying is, like, if your SDs aren't perfect, that does not mean the ammo's not good.
Right.
That could also be the other way around. You could have a great barrel and it just doesn't have good SDs. And I could shoot a good group or not. Frank could shoot a good group or not. But the likelihood of somebody not shooting a good group has so little to do with ammo that that's not, I'm just gonna say, like,
Yeah.
we got to see it in person and
Right.
show me on the doll.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
make a
used.
coin. I talked about it last year. I'm gonna do it. I'm saying this publicly. I'm gonna make special coins, and in my presence, if you accomplish certain achievements,
Goals. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna I'm gonna give you a coin, and that's gonna mean something because so few people are gonna be able to on the spot do that in front of me that it will
Well, I mean, that's
actually
the thing. You got
have
the Eric
value.
Cortina's, KYL or TYL. There's a bunch of people who do the challenges now. And so there is a thing with these videos where guys are like, the milk jug challenge, the 500-yard blackjack challenge, the KYL challenge, all that shit. There's a bunch of them out there right now. So you can have the rifle craft challenge,
Yeah,
but
and it's
it
gonna
has
have a
to be
coin, maybe
in
three,
person.
but they're gonna be, yeah, they're
Well,
gonna.
right,
It has to be in
in
my
person.
presence,
Right. To
and I'll be
get the
like,
coin. What do you
yeah,
think,
yeah,
Amar? Can you
totally.
do it? Can you do it one hole with your ammo?
Maybe Chris could.
Dude, it
I,
was one hole.
It
Like
was literally
it,
one. Yeah.
it was literally one
I mean, I
hole.
thought if you're asking me, probably not, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe
I
on a
was
good
like,
day.
I
Yeah.
mean, it was good enough that it caused me to question whether I was on paper at all.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I was expecting to see something
More.
other than the hole that was there. Um,
Oh,
God, I
but
had
kidding
something I was going
aside,
to say.
sorry,
No, go ahead. Go
Chris.
ahead.
No,
No,
go,
yeah.
go.
I often, sometimes when I'm going out to range, I'll just grab some production samples, because I usually keep a few out of each run. And the other day I dragged my 308 out and I loaded up 5 rounds and went bang bang bang, and I thought, oh my god, like I forgot how good this stuff shoots, because it's been
Nice.
about a year I've been shooting
Busy.
gas gun. Yeah, and so I haven't shot the 308. Anyways, it definitely, yeah.
Cool.
Well, I'm
Well,
going to compete with your ammo in PRS for TAC division for sure, and my gun is shaping up to be pretty good. I got a question for people that are thinking about this, and I'm going to go through like a thought process that somebody might go through, but I don't know what happens. So let's say because you have people that shoot PRS, and they're probably not. It's probably not a generic answer, but how many competition? How many rounds do they take of yours to a competition first?
A 2-day PRS match,
Hmm.
uh, guys are taking anywhere from 250 to 300 rounds.
Okay, so
If
250 to
they're going to go,
300.
if they're going to go to train up day, if they're going
Okay,
to go on
so yeah,
Friday
let's
and
just say 300 rounds. Um, 300 rounds for a dasher is 1200 or something like that,
something
or
like
I
that.
don't. Okay, $1,200. It probably costs them a lot to go to the match, so or whatever. Do you make training ammo now, or was that an old thing and now?
That's kind of an old thing. We just have
Okay,
one spec in each caliber, really.
okay, but at a match like that, I would assume that every shot counts, and so every point that they get is value to their training and their commitment to shooting as a craft. So those people have to ask themselves, is it worth, $1,000 to not have to load, to put that aside for a competition? But no, it's going to be good and perform itself. For people, I think that they have to make that decision. But for me, knowing that I'm going to go with reliable gear that's going to perform a certain way is peace of mind that I can shoot to my ability rather than showing up and being like, nothing's working.
yeah.
It's just one piece of mind check. And in the big picture, that's an investment that you're already making as a shooter. It seems like a smart investment to invest in something that's likely. It's like saying, well, this stock's going to go up 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8% every year for infinity versus it's going all over the place. Yeah, well, somebody got 20% gain here. It's like, yeah, but if they didn't take it out just then they lost 80%. And some ammo is like all over the place. To me, it's like if they can't afford to train with it, it might be worthwhile getting and setting aside their competition ammo, and that could be a good option.
Yeah. I mean, a bad weekend's a bad weekend. You could be a golf guy, and if you smash your car on the way coming home from golf, And then when you do get home, you find your wife in bed with somebody. I mean, that's a bad weekend. And a match, if you travel and spend all that money and have an awful experience, you might as well have smashed your car and found your wife in bed with somebody else, because it's not fun. You spent all that money. It didn't go the way you want, and it's just it's horrible. So I could see where ammo problems, gun problems, scope problems. I mean, I used to go to matches back in the day, always carry 2 scopes. You know what I mean? Because you never know if your scope's going to break, and you don't want to be stuck and have a backup. And now you don't see people doing that kind of thing in some of the stuff where they've gone, but there always used to be the jewel triggers. How many of the guys who run jewel triggers had 2 for a while? They were carrying 2 because if you had a jewel in your hand load, odds are it's going to break at some point. And so you're going to swap out. I got more photographs of the top shooters having their jewel triggers changed out because they broke them in the middle of a match. You know what I mean? And so that was a thing. Scopes were a thing, so you don't want that thing to affect you when you're going on a 3-day, 4-day weekend with travel and spending, $3,000 total, and then having a thing screw your weekend up. Your car gets broken into at the hotel because you were too lazy to carry your rifle up to the room. That's happened a ton of times. Guys had their cars broken into at matches because they left their rifles in the car, and went up to bed. And so there's all those things that turn your, hey, I'm going to have a fun shooting weekend into a nightmare. And
And we don't bring a lot of people on as guests, so I think that says, at least from us, and people don't know that, but or maybe they do know that, but it's just it's been a pleasant uh discovery. Not that it was a discovery necessarily made today, but because we've known about you for a while. But
yeah, we were
it's
just
nice to know there's
distracted.
reliable gear. And
Yeah.
we have, we talk to some people that make guns and scopes that make reliable gear, but God, it's nice to know that there is stuff that is reliable over time, and it feels good to be able to share passion because, Frank has the hide, and he puts his heart and soul into this, and I have riflecraft, and you have trace ammo, and man, we're all just trying to survive. But you don't survive without the things that you can lean on instead of always getting screwed over by stuff, because
Yeah.
we're going
Yeah.
to get screwed over by the wind. Like,
Mm-hmm. So, that's a good segue for Amar. Fill us in with everything we didn't talk to you guys about, and give us kind of like your elevator pitch at the end, and come see me, I'm a good guy strategy that you have. And so we'll go from
oh
that.
yeah, and tell us when you're releasing ELR ammo.
Oh,
Ooh,
we're releasing the Echo Way competition round in I think
nice.
20 minutes. Yeah.
Is it going to be PRC or Norma?
No, it's like a 267 grain solid copper 338 going
Actually,
through
that'll
like
work.
29. I don't know, whatever we were doing on that top secret project. That
That's
Mentos
fizzled.
and
That's
Mentos
a
and
good
Diet
number.
Coke.
You know what? The 260s, because they ruined the 338 with the 300 grain bullet. I won't get into my soapbox about it, but I watched it happen in real time where they destroyed the 338. And then they were all running around with the Norma, and they go, "We're going to do the 230, the 230." And we're going to do the 230, and then the 230 didn't work, and they jumped to the 215, and now they're like, the 215 is the greatest thing on the planet. And I'm like, yeah, but you took the exact same case and shoved a 300 grain bullet in it and ruined it, where everybody could have had a nice happy 338 that was super nice to shoot, and instead you went and ruined it by putting a 300 grain bullet in it, and now half the people don't want their 338s no more. But 267, that's a magic number.
Mhm. But we
I
derailed
for,
your talk.
Yeah, go
We're
ahead,
no,
Sam.
famous
All
no,
for
right,
that.
that's
I
all right.
messed it. So no, go give us your elevator pitch because you got me in one of my pet peeve spots with the 338. So anyway,
It's
go ahead.
HK's
Look, I
fault.
mean, it's pretty straightforward. Trace Ammunition is a competition inspired PRS for now, PRS centric ammo company, right? And the idea is to make good quality, consistent ammo available, and have an option outside of the big factories, and not having to spend the time and money and actually intellectual capital, or I don't know what the term is, but of course there are so many resources now with Facebook, and a lot of people do amazing reloading video classes and stuff. So you can get pretty close just by gathering information on the internet, but still, it's a learning curve. Even if you have the perfect recipe and all the right components, you got to do it a while and screw up to figure out what actually works. And anyways, I digress. So something between the big factories that although they have incredible businesses and great marketing, sometimes they don't hit the mark on lot to lot consistency, or even within a lot the SDs and NESs that you're looking for. So uh, that's kind of where we fit in, and um, offering some cartridges like Six Dasher that factory ammo isn't readily available for. I should say that we do have a reloading service, so that if you're shooting a lot, uh, to help mitigate the cost, if you collect up your brass under certain calibers, particularly the 6 millimeter calibers, you can send it back to us and we'll precision process it, reload it back to our factory spec, and send it back to you. And so you'll get your brass back fired out of your rifle. So that can offer a little bit of savings. Um, and to that note, not to stay stuck on costs, but because we use such good quality components, one option is that guys who they'll just shoot virgin all the time, and they'll collect their alpha brass and sell it on Sniper's Hide.
They do.
And, and I don't know what the going rate for Alpha Dasher is now. I think you get 50 cents a case at least, maybe more. So you can recoup $500 per thousand right there. Anyways, I digress. So yeah, that's the deal. I'm out shooting competitions. I'm in the community. I'm fortunate enough to work with guys like you and Chris, and so we're just really passionate about what we do, and we're out there every day putting our product to the test and trying to constantly improve it. So yeah, I think that's the whatever many second pitch. And if you guys think I missed something there, feel free to chime in.
It's
Chris?
good. He's just conservative. Amar's conservative.
Well, but you have to be
Frank and I,
today in a way. I
yeah,
get it, but yeah, you have to be. He's a
totally.
businessman in that space, and he has to be conservative. But like I said, I
Well,
I
and
see numbers.
I'm an engineer, and
Yeah,
I'm bound, a little bit
yeah.
by facts and statistics, and I don't know, maybe I shouldn't.
Well, but our facts are real world, so we see a variety of things come past us. I was telling somebody the other day, at a minimum, we're out 3 days a week shooting in a variety of situations, um, and so that's why, like when we see something, we go by what we see, and I don't need to see 1,000 samples of something to know where it is in this space because I've seen it already, and so I just think that but yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate your being conservative, and I fully embody what Frank said about us being out at the range. In the shooting world, we often see the reciprocal. People say all sorts of crazy stuff, and we go out to the range and see the opposite of what they're saying, and it's like, all right, if that's true, come on out, like show me. So I think it's a good balance to say, whatever, this works.
Yeah, it does.
And
It works.
and
And if it didn't work, I wouldn't have said anything to Chris today. It was like, hey, we need to talk about this today and what you have going on in the last couple days. And then, like I said, I need to get my tac ops out there and then run it through my rifle. It's just like I said, I've been distracted and he has. And so now we're in less distracted mode. So we were able to jump on it a little bit better than we were, 3 months ago. And it resonated. So
but the tech ops is so freaking good. It's almost not fair. Like it's going to create a black hole with his ammo.
it will. There'll be. What's gonna happen? I'm gonna shoot your 308 out of my tac ops, and the bullet hole in the paper is gonna be .26.
It's going to
Yeah.
the interdimensional beings are going to come back through it.
Yes, because it's a tac ops.
Well, right, right. Um, yeah, and listen, the customers report back all the time. I get emails. Holy, F bomb, holy S bomb, and they're just they love it.
Yeah.
And so that always brings me great joy. But again, at the end of the day, we're using premium components, and we're loading them the same every time. That's not to say there can't be lot to lot differences, but it's not. We're not.
Right.
Oh shit! We're out of this powder. Okay, this one's pretty close in burn rate and energy content, bulk density. Let's just throw that in there and see what happens. That does not happen. I mean, that's an extreme case, but I think there are ammo companies out there that do that. They're like, okay, this powder's out. We got to meet our production. Let's just go to the next closest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never going to happen. So what that gives you is that consistency. And again, at distance, when I sent Chris that dasher way back, he sent me a picture. Do you remember that IPSC at like 600 yards had a red line on it or something? And you sent it to me, and I was just looking. I'm like, what the hell is this? I don't even see anything. I don't have very good eyes. And then you text me back and said, look on the red line, and you stacked like 5 or 6 shots on the left edge of it. Is that ringing a bell?
Yeah,
at
like
all,
in
Chris?
yeah. We used paint for water lines, and they were in the water line. But that's exactly what the 308 did. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So my point is that again, that's what Trace is about.
Yeah.
Okay, SDs are great. That's great. Groups are good. That's great. But we want to see what's happening 600 and out.
Beauty.
And I think
I'll find that picture.
we're doing it.
Yeah. Cool, man. Oh, well,
It's,
Chris is looking for his picture, but then we're gonna cruise off. Bunch of stuff
this is a
happening.
different phone.
Different. Never mind. All right, different phone. All right. Hey guys, bunch of new stuff. They updated the high discussions in the videos now, so you can go talk with that. They're doing a lot over there with new updates. I'm waiting. There's going to be a PX update. They're going to pretty up the PX, and they're adding some new user tools and things like that. Oh, what is that? I got a thumbs down. Who thumbs down me? Because I'm ending? Oh, because I'm ending maybe. Because we were ending. They're like, we're going. They're like, no. But anyway. So yeah, thanks to Armar, Trace Ammo, coming on and talking to us over at the Hide. Chris at Riflecraft in there.
Riley was scratching at the door. Riley, come on, come here, say hi to
Riley.
everybody.
Hey everybody. Hey
Let's
Riley.
fight.
Hey Riley. I tell you what, man, she was so excited at the range today. She was all over the place. Did you find your frisbees? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey,
Cool.
where's your frisbee?
All right. Where is it? All right, guys, we're gonna end it. Call it good. Thanks a lot for being on. Amar, you can stand really quick. You don't have to jump right off. But thanks everybody for being part of the Hide, and we will talk to you all soon. We are out.